The recording has started. Good morning, everyone. This is Tuesday, the 1st of October, and I am so grateful everyone's here and that we can spend this time together going into our hearts and working on the very deep healing within the heart of America. I was meditating this morning, and I was feeling this rising energy in the earth, and of course it's coming into America also, that the vibration of the planet is rising, and it's creating reactions and chaos in our country and the world. Because for the vibration to rise, all the impurities have to be healed. It's part of the mechanics of the planet, of the evolution of humanity. So I realized all of this chaos that we see in the world, we see in America, is actually a sign of a great thing happening for us. What we can do by going into our hearts is smooth out that process. Allow that process to be easy, allow it to be filled with love, filled with gratitude. So that's where we're going. And tomorrow, the topic for tomorrow, just so everybody knows, is going to be impeachment. That should be a fun topic. So, but let's just get started with our process of going into our hearts. So everyone could just sit up comfortably. Posture does count. The straighter you are, the better it works. These are energetic meditations. Our hearts are the center of our energetic body. So we honor the energy within us. And one of the ways we do that is by our posture. It flows more freely, the energy, when we're sitting upright. But again, we don't want to strain. That shuts down the energy even faster than bad posture. So, sitting up straight, maybe shuffle your shoulders a little bit, feet flat on the floor, and let's start by saying hello to our hearts. That means just put your hands over your heart. And if you can, just before we get started, or just as we're getting started, just notice your state this morning. How peaceful, how calm, how alive, how energized, how present. What's your experience? And then just sit with your hands over your heart. This is a very ancient posture. You see it carved on ancient statues from Tibet to Egypt. Because connecting to the heart is a very ancient process. And maybe you can feel your pulse through your fingertips or your palm. Doesn't matter. Just be aware that it's there. And now just take a moment. You can let your hands down or keep them up as you will. And just check in again. After sitting in this posture, connecting to the heart, what happens to your state, to your experience of life, to your presence? What do you feel? It could be dramatic, it could be very minor. It doesn't matter, we're just playing, just exploring. this incredible thing called the heart, this energy system within our body. And now let's move into this basic form of heart-centered meditation. We call it heart rhythm meditation, where we connect the rhythm of our heartbeat to the rhythm of our breathing. That means begin to notice your heartbeat. If you can just feel it inside your body, that's perfect. If not, don't worry, that will come. But there's a couple other possibilities for you. You can simply feel your pulse on your wrist or your neck. You could also hold your breath briefly, never to strain, but after 15 or 20 seconds, maybe 30 seconds, your heartbeat will become very dominant in your existence, in your awareness. And you can always just count. So typically, we do about 8 heartbeats per inhale, 8 heartbeats per exhale. Could be 6, could be 10, whatever's comfortable for you. I'll just call it 8. So, actually, I'm jumping ahead of myself. First thing we do is we just notice our breathing. Sorry about that. Just notice the breathing. Notice if it's easy. One nostril is more open than the other. How full is your inhale? How full is your exhale? And at a certain point, just begin to breathe deeply with a very full exhale. Pull the abdominal muscles all the way back towards the spine. And just let that go. Notice how free the inhale is. And just take a minute or two breathing full breaths in and out, abdominal breathing. And just notice what happens. All of this is an exploration. When we take full breaths, full inhales, full exhales, how does your experience change internally? We're flooding the system with prana, with energy. Do you notice that? Don't mind if you don't. It's all right. We're just playing. Just having fun. That's how we want to look at this. There's not a rush. We just enjoy this process because enjoying the process is the most likely way to continue the rhythm of your practice. Not trying to force yourself to get somewhere. Believe me, it comes with time. It comes with time. And now we begin to move into this process of feeling our heartbeat, connecting the rhythm of our heartbeat to the rhythm of our breath, of our respiratory system. As I said before, typically we do 8 heartbeats to the inhale, 8 to the exhale, or just counts. If you can't feel your pulse or your heartbeat, it's okay. We're developing our inner sensitivity. One of the things to eventually notice, and this takes quite a while, so don't be frustrated with this, but what tends to happen is that there's a third rhythm in our body, the pulsing of our cerebral spinal fluid up and down our spine into the head. That's the circulatory system of the brain and spine. And that will also move into alignment with these other two rhythms. Just by intention, there's no trying that. For me, that's a very slow, almost a surge when it happens. And eventually, as we keep connecting to these rhythms, we begin to become aligned with the magnetic pulsing of the planet. That's when we're truly aligned with nature. Just do this for a minute or two. Every morning I'll add on some additional adaptation to this basic practice, so you begin to learn all the possibilities of what's here. So yesterday we started bringing in the breath, the energy directly into our heart, inhaled in and out of our hearts. So let's just add that in right now. The air comes in through our nose into our lungs, but the stream of energy associated with the air, we just invite directly into our hearts. All the while, keeping up the same connected rhythm. Filling up our hearts with energy, with the energy of creation. And then letting the energy flow back out on the exhale. Another practice we can do is we connect it to our breath. If you have some statement of truth, some cognition, some affirmation or whatever, the classic in the Christian tradition is, Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on me. It could be Om Namah Shivaya. It could be some goal that you have. And just time that to your heartbeat coming in. Time it to your heartbeat going out. By connecting it to the rhythm of the heartbeat, We magnify the power of this expression of truth, of this petition, of this affirmation. Our heart is not just this physical organ beating. We use that heartbeat to connect into the energy of the heart. And every day, I'm going to invite us to expand our heart. Even though, particularly for beginners, this may not flow easily and automatically at first. It's a new experience. But the reason I'll have us do it every day is that when we're in a group, what happens is we connect to the deepest person in the group meditation. And that person going deeply into their heart and expanding out that energy will make it easy for us. That's the glory of working in a group. So now the invitation is, inhale into the heart. And as we exhale, just begin to expand out your energetic body. Inhale, connected to the heartbeat. Exhale, begin to expand out your energetic body. It may be you can only feel a few inches beyond your skin. It's sort of like a second membrane or skin out there. Inhale. Exhale, expand it out a little bit more. It'll be very faint, particularly in the beginning, and then it'll get stronger, more tangible, almost as tangible as your sense of where your skin is. Inhale into your heart, and then exhale, expanding out your energetic body. For those of you who have done a lot of consciousness-based meditations, it may be easier to move your consciousness out, your beingness out first. And then you'll begin to notice the energy body moving along with it. Inhale, fill up the heart with energy. Exhale, see if you can expand it out to about 3 feet. 6 feet, 9 feet. Inhale, fill the heart up and expand it out even further. See if you can fill up your room wherever you are. And it's just a faint sense. It's not a neon flashing light out there. Just a faint sense. And inhale. Expand out to fill up your city, your state, your country. Just as far as it's comfortable for you. Expand it out to Alaska, Hawaii. Expand it out to encompass the entire planet. And it's okay if you lead with your imagination here. The energy follows. Just practice. And inhale. And now just expand it out to encompass all of creation. Feel your energetic body reach into the far edges of the universe. So far out, there is no edge. And just notice your experience here. Notice how we've begun to encompass all of creation within ourselves. we are remembering energetically who we are. Notice it doesn't feel strange way out there. It feels normal, natural. It's who we are. Our hearts. Each one of us, our heart, is the center point of creation. We create from the heart. And is it okay with us if we recognize this is true for everyone's heart? And we connect at a very deep level, becoming one with every other heart in creation. This vast networks of hearts we call the universal heart. It's the home of all the divine qualities: love, harmony, beauty, wisdom, power, compassion, whatever. There's hundreds of them. Creation exists so these beings can express themselves through us. And just pull this energy back into your own heart. And just notice where you are. Notice who you are. How much silence is there? How much energy is there? Is it all right with us if we recognize and experience ourselves as fully energized conscious beings, where we live with a fullness of consciousness and the fullness of energy? That's why we go into the heart, to pull up this entire second functioning of ourselves that is always sort of there on spiritual paths, but mostly the paths focus on consciousness. That's okay. It's very powerful. But how much more powerful is it to incorporate the fullness of our energetic perfection? So from this great place of integration of silence and energy, let's look at our own personal worlds, our own day-to-day, from this vastness to this mundane, ordinary life that we live. And first, is it okay with us that as spiritual, sovereign spiritual beings, we live this ordinary, mundane life of going to work, having a partner, having kids, having parents, having friends, having a body? Is this okay with us? Would it be okay with us if we looked at this as an incredible playground for the development of our mastery through love, our mastery through compassion, our mastery through surrender? I think it's okay. So take a look at your life, and specifically, we're going to be looking at mental illness. We talked about it yesterday and sort of joked about how this vast divide in this country is actually a sign of mental illness. The hatred on both sides. But right now, let's just look at, in our own lives, who do we know that we look at and we say, this person is just crazy? Or who have we seen? Maybe we don't even know them that well. Maybe we know sort of vaguely that they've been in and out of institutions. They've been suicidal. They've been depressed. They've been heavily, heavily anxious. So when you think of these people, because they're in our lives, 1 in 5 adults every year has some mental illness that they go through. 1 in 5. We may not know it. They may not even know it. Only about half of them is diagnosed. But if you have 50 friends, that means 25 of them. I'm sorry. 1 in 5. It means 10 of them. 10 of them. Anxiety, depression, fear, just torturing themselves. What comes up in you? And maybe it's just compassion because we're so much in our hearts right now. But how do you feel when you're confronted with mental illness? What comes up in you? Do you like it? Do you wish it wasn't there? Do you say, yes, can I help you? Just notice your feelings and welcome up these feelings. And just be with them. We don't have to do anything with them. We can just be with them. And we begin to love them. Some more mental illness by the numbers. 4%. It's 1 out of 25 have a serious mental illness. Most of us have about 200 friends. That's what all the marketing people say, the multi-level people say. We have about 200 friends and acquaintances that we can easily connect with. That means 8 of our world typically will have a serious mental illness in any one given year. What does that do for you? Suicides. Second leading cause of death from ages 10 to 34. It impacts our families. It impacts our communities. 70% of the juveniles in the juvenile system, in the juvenile delinquent system, 70% of them have mental illness. And we might think, this doesn't really touch me that much, but that's where most of the crime is coming from. Mentally ill people. So what do you think? How do you feel? Should we, as a culture, be responsible for them? Do we let them just suffer? Welcome up your feelings. Just check to see if you have this feeling that I don't want to be responsible for them. I don't want to take care of them. I have my own life to live. Just welcome up that feeling. Be with it. Love it. Let it go if you'd like. Believe me, you're not alone with that feeling. Check to see if you have compassion fatigue. So much compassion. You get burnt out and you go, I can't do anymore. Check to see if you have that I can't do anymore feeling. The way through that, by the way, is through the heart. The heart actually has no compassion fatigue. What's happening is our stuff is getting triggered so much, we don't want to handle it anymore. But that's not the heart, that's our stuff speaking. And let's go back to suicides. How many of us know someone who's committed suicide or has suicidal tendencies? I would say almost all of us. Suicide is for all ages, it's the number 10 cause of death in America. How do you feel about that? Try this statement on. I look forward to my friends committing suicide. And see if that doesn't give you a rise, a reaction. Could you just be with that reaction? Love it and let it go. Let's make it even more personal. Imagine you become mentally disturbed for the rest of your life. Schizophrenia, delusions, paranoia, depression. Now it may be because we've been in our hearts so much that there's not that much reaction to that. Or it may be fear comes up, resistance, not liking comes up. The classic line is, what we resist persists. So if you are reacting to that picture, could you welcome up that energy, love it, let it go, or perhaps move it into your heart, if you can feel it and move energy, and just let that go. Let that be transformed in your heart into some divine quality, perhaps compassion. On the other side of this squeezing the lemon, imagine always, always, always being so incredibly mentally balanced and healthy. There's probably no resistance to this, and that's fine. The problem with it is from this place comes this calling to help and to serve. Would you be okay being called to help and serve because you are so healthy mentally? And just whatever answer comes up, just let that go. And taking a look at America, we see these cities starting to spring up of homeless people, mostly in the milder, more temperate climates. And among the homeless, there's huge levels of mental illness. They don't function in the world. They can't hold down jobs. They can't show up every day in work. They fly off the wall. They get angry. They get violent. So for the sake of America, could we all go inside, deep within ourselves, and just pull into our hearts, into our collective hearts, the energy, the presence of these beings who need our help. Could we hold them in love? Could we hold them in love some more? They're poor, they're dirty, they're dangerous, some of them. They're unpredictable, that's a better term. They don't fit in our cultural norms, and they live on the outskirts, on the edge, in complete poverty, using drugs, some of them, drinking, many of them. Could we love them anyway? Could we go to a place of compassion? And could we see them as sovereign spiritual beings, evolving in the best way for them that is possible? That's what they can do right now. They've taken birth as a human. They have the nervous system of a human, capable of experiencing both the gross and the divine simultaneously. Could we shift our perception of them? Could we love them first and then begin to see them through the eyes of the heart, through the eyes of the heart? And that's both with compassion and love, and seeing them in their fullness, seeing them in their glory. And just feel your heart right now. Perhaps come back and feel your heart beating. And which would you rather feel or do? Would you rather see them as deplorables? Or would you rather see them as sovereign spiritual beings? Souls that have made amazing progress in the journey towards oneness with the divine. What metric do you want to use to judge people? Whether they've had a bath, whether they've had a meal, whether they see the world the way we do? Or do we want to judge them based on their intrinsic value? Which feels better? Which gives us more power? Which is better for America? So I thank you very much for joining me on this journey. I know some of it was a little heavy, but I just trust in the power of our hearts. So just check in with your heart again. Breathe in. Feel your heartbeat. Connect it to your breath. And perhaps see if you can move your pulse down to your feet, or just feel the energy down on the bottom of your soles of your feet. It's a way of grounding ourselves. Thank you very much for joining this meditation. Take a minute or two to slowly open your eyes. So that's the formal part of this class, and I thank everyone here and online for joining us this morning. As I mentioned earlier, our topic tomorrow is going to be impeachment, which should be a lot of fun. Probably not as heavy as this one was, or who knows, there's a lot of energy on that. So what we traditionally do is, as an option, invite anyone who's been really stirred up, either here in the physical class or online. Online, you hit *6 to unmute yourself. Or if you just have a comment or a question or something like that, I always tell people no preaching and no ranting. So, and if you speak up, I'm likely to say, oh, we're going to work on that. Or we could just hang out.